Radio 365 Sports, the top five. I thought we'd go NFL today since we're so heavy college athletics. So top five remaining NFL offseason questions. And a couple of these I'm curious to get you guys' opinions on. Some of them are, kind of basic, but there are questions that NFL fans have. So number five, who will be the surprise post-June 1st cuts? Because we're after June 1st now. There's going to be somebody, a big name somewhere that gets cut and let go because they've been kind of holding out on it. Who's that going to be? I don't really know who it is. I think I'm more interested in who signs to replace. Who's the, Julio Jones, guys like J.C. Treader, Odell Beckham Jr. when those guys get signed. But outside of that, there's going to be a big name that gets cut somewhere. And so we haven't seen it really yet. I think most of those moves have been made. But, there's going to be a big name somewhere that gets dropped.
I thought maybe it was Joe Corey that was talking about this and how they've even changed that up. You can actually be a post-June 1st cut, but it changes the way.
Well, you can do it in February if you want to,
but it just doesn't apply until you get to June the 1st. I don't know enough of the names, but I'm cheating here. Michael Thomas.
Yeah. Well, they don't have any. They just drafted Chris Olave. He hasn't really played in 2 years. That's a name that would make sense. And if he shows up and he's a shell of himself, can you get out from under him enough to where it would make sense for him to go?
Yeah. Short, the cornerback, is that right? From
K'Wan Short's a big defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle from Carolina, Matt Rule, and see what they need. I don't know. They surely don't need to lose talent.
No.
They can't afford to lose anybody.
Yeah. But, that's kind of an interesting one. Number four, who's the next big contract? Cooper Kupp got paid. So did Aaron Donald, because apparently the salary cap only applies to the Cowboys. That's the only team it does. It's the only one. But the Rams are making it work somehow.
I don't get, every time the Rams sign somebody, there's this talk about the salary cap and how they just don't care and everybody else does. So can somebody actually explain to me that how this works? Because if it's as simple as just not caring, then, everybody could do that. But clearly nobody else does that as well as the Rams do. So is it just how brilliant they are negotiating these contracts and the languages they put in them? Because it really doesn't make sense to me when I see Cowboys fans flailing their arms, complaining. And it's if they can do that, surely you can too. So what am I missing here?
Well, eventually, no matter what, yes, there doesn't seem to be a cap, but there is. And eventually it's like a credit card. At some point, you're going to have to pay the piper. But they're starting to find ways around it. Am I right about these big, huge upfront, not just
signing
the signing bonus, but even it used to be you had the signing bonus and then boom, 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 and then you could cut a guy. Now they're feeding the animal early on in the contract.
Yeah, and the Rams do kind of shorter term extensions, so they're loading up all at once. Plus they have these kind of dummy years inside dummy years or something like that. I read something about how they've built out their contracts to when the salary cap storm comes for them, they'll just know it. Look, Matthew Stafford's retiring, this guy's gone, we're gonna have a 1 to 2 year storm, and then we're gonna just be fine. So
and they probably don't sign Ezekiel Elliott to 5-year deals and things like that, right? In terms of the way the Cowboys spend their money versus the way that the Rams spend their money, I think there's probably a bit of a difference there too, right? When you think, they spend it on Aaron Donald and on Cooper Kupp and on, guys that have all proven and won Super Bowls now, and the Cowboys tie them up with DeMarcus Lawrence. And I understand DeMarcus Lawrence and Zeke and these guys, but then they run into the Amari Cooper situation, and all of a sudden, so I guess they just have a better front office. Bottom line is they just have a better front office.
Now I don't know if this counts today. The Rams still had about $99,700,000 under the cap. Now the Cowboys have $22 million under the cap. The Browns have $42 million under the cap. Eventually, the Rams, if they don't win it again, they've already won it. It's worth it. Even if you don't win the next 3 years, they've won it. Why not go for 2? Go for broke, and then you start the rebuild.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 3, will the Commanders saga reach an end? And there's so much stuff about the Commanders. Are they going to be forced to release the report that has been out there because they're trying to get a new stadium? And this is intersected into politics extremely extremely heavily, especially given where they are.
They are so handcuffed in every way.
The Virginia General Assembly has tabled the stadium talks. And look, I don't want to adjudicate what Jack Del Rio said yesterday, which I have no idea what he was thinking, why he thought he needed to bring it up, regardless of how he felt about something. And I do, and he completely left out the fact that people did die and riots are bad, blah, blah, blah. But let's not get into that. The fact that he said it,
You just did.
yeah. The fact that he said it, though, waters the garden of people not wanting to deal with the Commanders because it gives people in the assembly a political reason not to want to deal with him. Oh, well, he said this about January 6th. Well, now it doesn't even behoove me to meet with the Commanders because now I've got people who are going to be like, well, what about Jack Del Rio? Well, he's just the defensive coordinator. He doesn't make any decisions.
Will he last until the season starts?
I don't know, because that was so incredibly stupid what he said.
Yeah.
And no matter where you stand on the topic, which I don't even want to get into that, like you said, but the fact that he even said it and went there, I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what he was possibly thinking. And you may say, well, he's saying how he feels, and I was like, yeah, but there's it's kind of like those people that take pride in being a-holes. It's like there's also a time and a place, and that was not the time, that was not the place, and that was not the way to express whatever he was trying to express. I thought that was the dumbest thing, and yeah, he might not even make it past training camp. I mean, quite honestly.
Well, here's what happens. Somebody says something they truly might believe in, because that's exactly why he would have said what he said. Then there's the backlash, and then there's the every time it happens apology. What are you apologizing for? You meant it. You may have been. And then there's more columns written. And so I don't know if he survives. I am a lifelong. From the days of when they were terrible back in the 60s when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, I am so sick of them as a franchise, from the ownership to the way it's run. If it wasn't for Ron Rivera, I don't know if I would still attach myself to that franchise.
Yeah, and
he's the one that brings class, at least, to an otherwise classless organization.
And y'all saw his long explanation, the walk back about, I said something as the way I didn't deliver it properly, and yeah, it was just a dumb thing to say at a dumb time, and was not expressed properly, whatever. But this actually got me thinking. The Washington Commanders actually got me thinking this. I've rooted for the same teams my entire life, pretty much. Yeah, I have, and I don't really want to be a Washington fan anymore. I really don't. I forgot Garrett's a Washington fan. I don't and I saw somebody say this, and it almost felt freeing the other day. I don't know if I'm going to trade in my allegiance right away, but I'm getting really, really close, the closest I've ever been. I don't owe the Redskins or the Commanders or anything. They're a pro sports team.
Yep.
They don't care about me. They don't care if I walk away as a fan. It's not like I went to college there. It's not like I grew up in Washington. I have nothing tying me to them except family happened to root for them, and that was just by chance. And I'm at the point now where, I can pick the pro teams that I root for. I won't go become a Warriors fan or a Celtics fan, something like that. I'm not a front runner. But damn if I don't wish I rooted for a team that was just not dysfunctional and a total mess.
Last time they made me proud was the year of RG3's rookie year, and even that year they blanked it up because they misused him at the end of the season.
Yeah.
They can't even enjoy good stuff.
What you guys just said is the reason, though, that the NFL is probably hoping that, I'm sure there's some owners that are like, man, I really hope that Dan Snyder stole some money from us so that we can get him out of there, because
got to, man.
Because Dan Snyder is not doing anything for the fans of his own team.
No. They're not going to get the new stadium, the land. They bought all that stuff. They're all being turned down.
He's pushing people away, and that's not what the NFL's about. So if you got a franchise where then this is not the three of you guys are not an outlier. You guys are the majority now of why should you continue to root for a team that, just based on the way their current stadium sets up, that they're willing to risk your life.
It's just a clown show, man. It's like at some point, you can forgive a thing or two or three, but dude, if you think about the last 4 or 5 years of that franchise, it's all embarrassing. Mm-hmm. It's all embarrassing. And it's just,
if they could win more often, it still wouldn't matter how bad they are.
Yeah,
they don't even bring you that joy of winning.
Yeah. Jack, they remind me of the politician in Parks and Rec who always had a different scandal going on. That's what they remind me of. Number 2, what did the Browns decide to do with Baker Mayfield?
Probably hold on to him after this Deshaun Watson news, which we haven't talked about at all. And I don't know how you excuse your way out of the Deshaun Watson situation. I don't know how you, like, a couple people say something, then okay. Like 20 plus people say something and there's still new ones coming in, and I understand, like, people jump onto a lawsuit and they want to get theirs or whatever, but that's not what's happening here in this case. Like, there's just too many people involved, there's too many weird anecdotes, there's too many weird explanations, and there's too much not give a by Deshaun Watson. It's really disturbing. It actually really is. And I know we haven't heard or seen a ton of him, but like, he had like an Instagram response or whatever to the latest round of allegations, and it was some stupid song lyric. It's like, dude, do you realize, like, the situation you're in?
Well, probably not, because that's why he put him in that position.
I guess. Yeah. I think the dude's got some major issues, and he could go to trial and be found innocent or whatever. I'm still not going to believe it. I mean, I'm just not.
And number one is this: Deshaun Watson gets suspended, so we can just kind of keep on this. But 66 different massage therapists in 17 months.
There's no way you can explain that.
Again, that's a number that it appears to be. Those are accusations, and I'm not defending him. But if now the even part about where the team may have set up various hotel visits.
Now the Texans are in the lawsuit. They've been at it, and I don't know if that's actually the smartest move, is bringing an NFL team into a lawsuit. I think you were just fine if you were Rusty Harden dealing with Deshaun Watson, or Rusty Harden's representing Deshaun Watson. The opposing attorney is who I'm thinking of.
Tony
Busby. I don't know if Busby bringing in the Texans organization is really the right move, but it does seem like they're a little bit to blame in some roundabout way. They're not to blame like Deshaun Watson's potentially to blame, but
to be enabling him.
Maybe. But here's my question: Zeke got 5 games, or what was it, a few years ago?
Yeah.
For an incident that was nowhere near this,
and not proven either.
And that's just one example of other guys who have been suspended for lengthy amounts of time that are nowhere close to touching this. So when I've heard those, like, how can you suspend a guy if there's no proof of anything? Well, it's the reputation of the Shield and the damage to the Shields. Has Deshaun Watson not just basically taken a number 1, number 2, and everything else all over the Shield with this story the last few months?
There were 2 different decisions not to indict him.
True.
But still, the story in itself is so sleazy.
It is.
That it's
so
ruining
dirty.
or at least affecting the Shield.
And look, I don't have a lot of one-to-one experience with NFL teams, but Smokey, the 3 of us do have a lot of experience with the Cowboys. Here's what I know about the Cowboys, who again are not exactly the bastion.
They got a guy that might
They're
have
not
been
choir boys.
They're not choir boys, but I do know this: like, things like this, like, look, if you've got a guy who likes getting massages or who needs them as a therapeutic thing, you contract out with a group that has 5 or 10 people, and those are the massage therapists. They work for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
You don't, when you...
Or some players tell others about certain chiropractors or others that help them.
You don't go through Instagram to get a massage therapist. It's not done. It's not what you do.
Yeah, Antonio Brown got a big suspension as well, remember? And that was allegations. I mean, and nothing...
Well, they haven't made that decision.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, my point is that there has to be some type of league handed down penalty, no matter what the courts say, for Deshaun Watson at this point. And I just, I've seen a lot of people say, looks like a duck, talks like a duck. I mean, that's kind of how I'm feeling about the story. And I don't know what in there or whatever, but man, I just don't know how you get this much piling up and just the circumstances, like you said, the 60 plus massage therapy. I mean, come on, man, whatever the number was, it's funky, man. It's really funky.
Yep. All right, that's it.
All right, very nice. It's great to be back. There's still some decompression time and some kind of just